friends. Rebecca here, the Dragon Librarian from Farmington Community Library, and I've got Ling with me here today to talk to you about not just a book that I'm really absolutely obsessed with, but also an author. This author in particular. I really just want to stress how very much I love her. I think she's absolutely phenomenal. And the book I want to talk about is This a Cry for Help by Emily Austen. So I just want to mention just for a brief moment about this book and this author. So, I have very, very specific favorite authors, right? I have a top 5. Technically, it's a top 6, but that's neither here nor there. So my top 5 or 6 authors are authors that not only are authors that I really love their works, like the majority of their works, but they're also authors that I think are good people. Like, you cannot get on my favorite list of authors if I think you're kind of a turd, right? So anybody who is kind of a jerk, like I research them, I watch interviews with them, stuff like that, and I have to really like you as a person before I give you the status of being a favorite author. And guys, I just have to tell you, Emily Austen is one of my top favorite authors. So she's been vetted. She's amazing. I love everything about her that I know. She is just so, so, so incredible. This is her newest book that came out in January of this year. I was so happy to be starting the year of 2026 with a new Emily Austen book. It was just absolutely fantastic. Now, I've talked about some of her other books before. Her first book that I read is called Everyone in This Room Will Someday Be Dead. So the title of this book, you can pretty much guess that Emily has a very, very dark sense of humor. And that dark sense of humor is woven majestically through all of her works. If you are the kind of person that appreciates a dark sense of humor, you are going to feel right at home in the pages of an Emily Austen book, because she will call out all of the complexities and the absurdities of life and make you go, yeah, you know what? That's so real. That's so real. I don't know that there has ever been an author that has made me feel more seen than Emily Austen. Like, I'm just going to be real about it. Like, everything that she's written that I've read is phenomenal. So this is her first book, Everyone in This Room Will Someday Be Dead. Her next book, Interesting Facts About Space, which prior to the newest book coming out was actually my favorite of her works, Interesting Facts About Space. And We Could Be Rats was her third book. All of these novels that I just mentioned are absolutely amazing. I think that, like I said, if you're somebody who appreciates a dark sense of humor, that writes these stories about these very flawed but charming characters, I think you will really, really enjoy them. Now, this book, however, her newest book, like I said, I really feel like she wrote this for me. Like, when I heard what this was about, first of all, I was just very excited anyway to know she had a new book coming out. And then when I heard what it was about, I was like, oh, wow, okay, thanks, Emily. You knew that this was a book I needed, and that's what you wrote, and I love you for it. Appreciate it. Thanks, girl. And that is exactly what this book is. So this book is a love letter to libraries. Doesn't that just sound amazing? Because it is amazing. So our main character in this is a lesbian librarian, and she's got a really pretty awesome life. She works at a local library branch in the town where she lives. Her wife owns this bookbinding business, so their home is filled with the things you would expect librarians' homes to be filled with: books, cats, joy, stuff like that, right? And she's loving everything that's going on. However, when our story starts, she has just come back to work after having a mental health crisis. And the mental health crisis started because she found out that an ex-boyfriend she had died. And that started all of her characters in Emily Austen books deal with some kind of level with mental health. Usually some kind of varying degree of depression or anxiety. And so our main character in this book, her anxiety went through the roof thinking about all these things that happened in the past and her relationship with this person in the past, and it sent her spiraling, and she ended up having to take some time off work. So she's back from work now, but she's still dealing with a lot of feelings. She's still dealing with a lot of thoughts. And as she's back to work, right? This is now, she's come back, fresh start. The library has now come under scrutiny because of censorship stuff. I'm not going to say exactly what the thing is, because I think that part of the journey is that you need to read this book and just go along for the ride, okay? But there is a censorship issue at this library, and there is a whole mass of people who are now trying to cancel the library, cancel their story times, get books pulled from the shelves, which, as you can imagine, is making our main character spiral even more. She's calling so many things into question, like her job, her love for her job, how she relates to people, you know, her relationships with other people. And she finds that she's going to need to rely on and lean on the people in her life, her colleagues, her wife, to be able to help her get through this and to navigate this. So like I said, this is a love letter to libraries and the importance of libraries, because as in a lot of Emily Austen books, this one is very similar in that our main character has a lot of thoughts. She has a lot of feelings, and we are ruminating with this main character as she is going through all the thought processes of stuff. So everything she is feeling, we are feeling too along with her. And it's just an incredible thing. Like I said, her characters are very flawed people, okay? Like, you're not going to start reading these books and being like, this is the most amazing character who has no problems ever and has never experienced a bad day in their life. No, these people are going through it. And most of them are dealing with mental health in some way, which I love the way that Emily Austen handles mental health in all of her books, particularly this one. I think that they're all really well done. And I just want to read a tiny little passage about how she feels about being a librarian, because I think this is really important for people. It validated a lot of things I feel as a librarian, and I think it's very good and important for people who are not in the library world to hear this. When I first decided I wanted to become a librarian, I envisioned myself reading Where the Wild Things Are to a pack of entertained toddlers. I thought of amiable middle-aged women at book clubs, precocious teens who love reading. The reality is, I spend a lot of time around people who don't have stable housing, who struggle with substance abuse, or have severe mental illnesses. A lot of people who come to the library are new immigrants, or refugees, or people from low-income families who are struggling. There are also people who I don't like or understand. I'm surrounded by people who have perspectives I don't have and who are living lives I don't relate to. I want to be a more supportive, positive influence on other people, but I'm not sure I have the faculties to do that. I wish it were easier to pinpoint exactly what I could do to help people. And that is just so real, because I think when you work in the library or any sort of public service job, right? Or really any job that you're interacting with the public, okay, on a daily basis, you're going to have great days and you're going to have awful days because you're dealing with the public, right? You're dealing with a myriad of different people from all types of different backgrounds, and it can be hard, right? And yes, of course, you get into it because you love reading and stories and helping people find those stories. But the truth is, most librarians also do a lot more than just that. And if you're someone who loves libraries and maybe don't know a lot about how libraries work or what the people do at libraries, I think this book is absolutely amazing. And it's also amazing if you work in libraries. I want every librarian or library worker to read this, because it just, so many of the things she talks about are just things that we go through every day. So I want to share one hilarious story in here, because there's one moment where the main character is in one of the bathrooms at the library and she's trying to calm herself down because she's having a moment. And she's starting to smell something weird. And she's like, why does it smell like lasagna in here? And she thinks she's going crazy until she comes out and realizes that somebody has a crock pot and is cooking meatballs in the public bathroom. Now, I want you to think about that for a minute, and I want you to think about how absolutely ridiculous that sounds. We literally had that happen at our library. It wasn't meatballs, but we actually had somebody trying to cook something in the public bathroom at one point. And I read this and I was like, yeah, that was the point when I knew, yeah, Emily Austin has definitely worked in libraries before. She knows where it's at. So this book will make you laugh. This book will make you cry. This book will make you think a lot about a lot of different things. I had highlighted so many different things in my copy of this book while I was reading it, because there were so many great moments that the main characters had that I just wanted to go back and think about again. So I highly, highly recommend you read Is This a Cry for Help by Emily Austin. And then I want you to go back and I want you to read her previous books too, because they are all absolute gems. And I highly, highly think you will love every single one of them so very much. Well, that's what I've got for you guys today. I hope that she sounds amazing and that you want to give her a try if she's not an author that you have ever read before. And I hope you love her as much as I do. And if you want to get any of her books, they are available at Farmington Community Library. So please feel free to go and check them out or put them on hold. And thank you so very much for watching, friends. And I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the day.